First question is going to pick on a guy who's far away from us today, and that's Secretary Mabus. In Ms. Gamma's written testimony, she essentially says that without oil and natural gas, quote, modern life is not possible, close quote. Too many times to count, I've had heard witnesses tell us that the deployment of clean energy was impossible and transition would result in major disruptions in our energy system. And every time, those predictions have turned out not to be the case. History has shown us that we should never bet against U.S. innovation and ingenuity. U.S. businesses, and with the support of the U.S. government, taxpayers, have always figured out how to build it faster, cleaner, and more reliable than before. As someone who has led clean energy and transition in the Navy and in the private sector, Mr. Secretary, would you respond to Ms. Gamma's testimony? Do you believe that we can grow our economy while reducing our dependence on oil and natural gas?
Mr. Chairman, I absolutely believe that. And I agree that these predictions are always wrong. You just look at naval energy. Navy has led the nation in energy transformation since its founding. We moved from sail to coal in the middle of the 19th century. We moved from coal to oil. At the beginning of the 20th century, we pioneered the use of nuclear for propulsion in the middle of the 20th century. And every single time, there were naysayers that says this can't be done. You're taking too big a risk. You're betting on a new technology like oil, and that you can never make an atomic reactor small enough or safe enough to put inside a submarine. So the ways we can do this, number one, renewables today are cheaper. And so it's better for the bottom line. It makes our economy, it makes our businesses much more competitive globally. Two, it insulates us from these price spikes that basically today, the American economy, and more importantly, American families are being held hostage by dictators around the world. Three, if we don't do this, as has been pointed out, other countries will, particularly China. And if we lose the leadership here, we're going to lose all the benefits that come from it, particularly jobs. As we move toward more electrification, if we move toward more renewables, just from the things that have already been done, we're going to need 1 million more electricians just in the next few years. Those are solid, good paying jobs. We're going to lose the manufacturing ability. We're going to lose the ability to do the research and development that we need to do to lead in alternative energy. And if we ignore climate change and the effects that climate change is having due to human activity, and a lot of that is due to the burning of fossil fuels, and the huge impact it has on our economy, storms and fires and natural disasters that are increasing in severity and increasing in frequency. And last, I'll quote a former Saudi oil minister from the country I was the ambassador to. He said, the Stone Age didn't end because we ran out of stones. It ended because we invented something better. We've invented something better here, and it's time to move to it.
All right, thank you. Before that, I have a quick follow-up question. Before I do that, I'm going to ask unanimous consent to place in the record materials demonstrating the effects of global instability from Russian invasion of Ukraine on energy prices in the United States. Without objection, it's so ordered. Quick follow-up question, Mr. Secretary, and then we'll yield to others on the committee. Ms. Gamma's written testimony also includes concerns about the reliability of clean energy. One of your first acts following your confirmation as Secretary of the Navy in 2009 was the announcement of an ambitious plan to transform the energy use of the United States to move away from the reliance on fossil-based energy to cleaner sources. Question: during or after the transition to clean energy, did the Navy experience any reliability concerns? What underlying factors motivated you to endeavor in this generational transformation of the Navy's energy use from fossil sources to cleaner fuels? I'll ask you to be fairly brief in responding, but if you would, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
We experienced no reliability issues at all. And first, I would never, ever, ever do anything to lower the combat readiness or the reliability of the United States military. I did this to give us an edge. I did this as a warfighting measure. My first 2 years as secretary, I've had to find $2 billion in unanticipated price spikes from oil and gas. Now, even in the Pentagon, finding $2 billion that you hadn't budgeted for is not an easy thing. And so we had to steam less, we had to fly less, we had to train less, which is simply not acceptable. And very personally, we were losing a Marine killed or wounded for every 50 convoys of fuel we brought into Afghanistan. And so we began to equip Marines with rollable solar panels to put in their packs with portable solar, so that Marines now make much of their energy where they are and where they fight, and they don't have to be resupplied. And last, when I was there, we had SEAL teams in the field that were net zero in terms of energy and water. And I asked a SEAL commander, what changed did he notice? He said, well, we had been using generators. And when you turn off the generators, you can hear when the bad guys are trying to sneak up on you. And second, you take a target off your back. And that it made him and his team far more combat effective.
All right. Thank you very much for those insights. We've been rejoined by Senator Capito, and I'm going to run and vote. I'll be back. And thank you all, Senator.